Hi, everybody.
Hey. Hello,
Welcome. Hello, Amanda. Nice to see you. Oh, I forgot to mute the other computer. I'm like, why am I hearing myself? Wait. Because I'll play it on the other computer.
Yeah.
That way, if there's any glitches, I'll see it.
That's good. That's really great thinking. Yeah. I've got my other computer on too, but it's slow. Hey, Moonstone Girl.
Exactly.
Hey,
So,
hey, Amanda.
Hi, Maureen. Hi, Angel. Hi, Moonstone. Hi, Debbie. Oh, we got all kinds of people showing up. Yay.
Hey. Nice to
Y'all
see you.
all know Dr. Ann. I'm assuming that everybody knows who Dr. Ann is. Hi, Christine.
It's okay if they don't. It's okay.
If not, we will slap you around until you do know her. Hi, Rose.
Awesome. I love it. I'll just tell you, I don't need to be slapped around. That's fine.
We'll beat it into you. Hi, Karen.
Hey, Christine.
I fell into the Maureen's a new member.
Yay!
Yay!
Nice. Christine slapped me around.
Nice. Slap you around. Boom, boom, boom.
Kind of hard when you're on the other side of the world.
Yeah, it's a little difficult. I had the distinct honor of being introduced to Dr. Ann through Allie of Heart and Soul Connected when she decided, what was it, almost 2 years ago, to do a book club.
Yep.
And I thought, I like to read, and so I joined the book club. And Dr. Ann was in the book club, and that's how we got to meet. And it just clicked, and we became friends. And so, wow, this is
I love it.
So, and so now I have several professors that are friends. I don't work with any of them, but that's okay.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just we're
not 100%.
Yeah. That's cool.
I'm still not 100%, y'all. So bear with me. If I start having a coughing fit, I'll just mute and let Ann carry it. And so anyway, we're just going to get together, see how Ann is doing and what all she's up to. She's writing a book, y'all. And I got a little bit of some info on this book. And we're going to discuss it and or at least ask some questions about it, right? Nothing else.
Yeah, please do it. Yeah. And feel free to ask any questions too that you might have. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ann. I'll do my proper greeting. Kia ora koutou katoa ko Dr. Ann Simpson Toko Ingoa, which is hello everyone. I am Dr. Ann, so Simpson. That's my surname.
She's a real professor.
That's the indigenous language, Te Reo Maori, which is the indigenous language, the indigenous people here in New Zealand. I live in New Zealand, so yeah.
She's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's Saturday. It's a spring day here, so we're opposite seasons, opposite everything, right? And thank you.
Ann is our future. When you want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, we give her a call. Okay, what's happening?
Much the same, it's not that much different. But
no, don't worry, Rose. I'll be here tonight. I'm going to be up anyway, so I might as well be doing the show. And
that's cool. Yeah. So anyway, so I love, books and reading, and I thought it'd be a really great way to meet people. So that's why I joined the book club, because, there's the academic side of me, and then there's the spiritual side of me. And that, as you can imagine, in academic circles, that's not acceptable, but, oh well. It's
They just
acceptable
kind of
in my
lift one
world.
eyebrow at you and go,
Well, so
we
for
gotta
me
watch
though,
this one.
yeah, I know something's wrong with her. But for me, I am just on the constant research of okay, what explanations are there in the research, in the body of research, whatever the topic is, that could potentially help describe some of these things that we're experiencing, or we know, or that I've experienced. So that's where that comes in, and that's where my little channel comes in. Is I take a little topic, and they're little video bites. They aren't like long videos because I'm sorry.
They're very interesting topics,
Thank
though.
you.
I really enjoy them. I
Oh,
mean,
cool. Thank you.
maybe because I get into kind of some of the esoteric stuff, and then it's
Yeah.
also a little
Oh,
science
cool.
fiction-y, and I've
Yeah.
always been really into science fiction, and
Yeah.
big Star Trek fan. I mean, Star
Yeah.
Wars too, but Star Wars is more fantasy, where Star Trek was like, this could be really happening in 100 years. I
Yeah.
can see it there. So,
Yeah.
hi Delphi. My Cajun cousin's here. Hi, Katie and
Okay.
Proud. Hi,
Hey.
Maureen.
Awesome.
It's not cold there. It's hot there.
Right now, New Zealand. Oh yeah. Well, no, there's two islands, right? There's the northern. Well, there are a lot of obviously little islands around New Zealand, but the main two islands is the North and the South Island, and then further you get into the South Island, that's obviously where a lot more sheep are, and it's really cold. And yeah, a lot of people travel to the Antarctic from Christchurch, which is a big city in the South Island. So I actually met somebody who worked in the Antarctic base, Scott Base.
Oh, how cool is
What's
that?
really
The most I
fascinating?
know about New Zealand is
Yeah.
The Lord of the Rings. I mean,
Yeah, which is
in the
beautiful.
movies that were shot
Yeah.
there, and it was like, oh my God, that countryside
Yeah,
is unbelievable.
it's really unbelievable. I've never seen, because I'm from the States, right? I'm from Northern California originally. So I mean, I knew, kind of the Sierra Nevada mountains and the desert in Nevada. I have a lot of family history in Nevada. So I'd be in Nevada a lot.
Hi,
But I'm from
Kimberly.
Northern California, so it's very different. Thank you, Maureen. Yes, it is beautiful. I mean, and it's really underpopulated, but it's so geographically inconvenient for everybody,
Yeah.
right? Because we're out
It
in the
was like
middle of
Hawaii. When my son was stationed in Hawaii in the Navy, I mean, the first words out of my mouth when he told me what his orders were was, hot damn, mama's going to Hawaii. And I did. A year and a half later, he was after his second deployment. He flew me out to Hawaii for a week.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I only got to go to the one island, Oahu, where
But still, that would
Honolulu
have been
and
amazing.
Waikiki and all that is.
Yeah.
But I would love to go to the other islands because they're more real Hawaii, from what I understand, where Oahu's, you've got the bases, you've got the big cities. It's very Miami-ish, it's all tourism and military and
Oh,
whatnot.
I'm sure it'd be really different. Yeah. Yeah. But here, really, if you get outside of Auckland, it's just like one big, like if you've been to Northern California in summer, kind of like that in the North Island, it gets really dry. But remember, we don't have to really worry too much about irrigation in New Zealand because it's always, I mean, it's subtropical. So it's classified officially as subtropical. So we get humidity and we get crazy rain.
Those big wildfires that hit Australia, was it last year, year before last? Did they hit y'all too? Did they hit y'all too in New Zealand?
The fires? The leftover fire. Yeah, the atmosphere from New Zealand. So all the debris and stuff from burning gets into the upper atmosphere and gets carried across the ocean. And it was really bad. There were warnings not to go outside. So that's how bad those wildfires were. Just crazy. Those poor people, the animals. I mean, just the whole thing. It's just, I can't. It's just awful. But here, what our thing is really, well, we have volcanism. We have an island that you used to go visit, but then there was an accident. I don't know if you guys remember hearing about that. And there's actually a documentary on Netflix about it. The White Island it's called Whakaari is the name in the language, indigenous language. But they used to take people onto an active volcano for a little holiday to go look at it. And then it exploded. People are on there, and you can imagine what happened to those people. And
it's like, it's beautiful to look at from a distance.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
Like mountains. When I went to California back in April, and I didn't realize that my friend lived at the top of the San Bernardino Mountains. We had to drive up them. I get vertigo 3 rungs up the ladder, and I got vertigo. I mean, I'm like,
Oh no,
I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
Once we got up there, it was
Mm.
just so incredibly beautiful. It was like
Oh yeah.
I would just be stuck at the top of this mountain for the rest of my life. I'd never make it back down again unless somebody else
Yeah.
drove me. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't drive myself, but
Mhm.
it was so beautiful. I mean, and then
Mm.
just I know it was kind of the same when I lived in Phoenix, even though we were down in the bowl surrounded by the mountains, but the air is just different.
Yeah,
When
it's
you get up
really
in that higher elevation, it's a lot
it's lovely,
crisper
isn't it? Yeah.
and a lot lighter. And I know
Mm.
my son got altitude sickness while we
Oh,
were there. It was
goodness.
like the second day there, and he got really sick, kept throwing
Wow.
up and passing out.
Wow.
And at first we couldn't figure out what was going on. And then a friend of his that he served in the Navy with, she was going to visit somebody else and was going to be passing close. So we're like, well, call him up the mountain, come see us while you're here.
Yeah.
And so she did medical stuff in the Navy.
Okay.
The minute she got there, she was able to evaluate. She's like, dude, you got altitude sickness, you know.
Yeah, well, that's
to it.
crazy. And it does happen to people. I mean, I know like if people go visit Peru and the Andes, people get really bad, severe, and they actually serve them cacao leaves, you know.
Right.
But I think
it's just like when people
to
come
help
down
the nausea
here
and calm it down. Yeah.
because we're right at sea level or below, depending on where you're at in the
Yeah, we're
state.
at sea level. Maybe a few meters up.
That's one of the reasons why the humidity is so high. I mean,
yeah,
we'll have beautiful temperatures in the 70s and 80s, but if you got
it's like
98% humidity, you know,
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
No such thing as straight hair living in this country. I'll tell you that right now.
Please, I mean,
just
you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary when I wake up in the morning. Anyway.
I give up. I just like, okay, it's just gonna do what it's gonna do, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's just a mess. I mean, but
Mhm.
yeah, I know when Lewis went on his, I don't remember if it was his first or second deployment, but they stopped off at a little island off the coast of Australia. I think it was
there's a few of them.
between
Pitcairn?
Australia and New Zealand.
No, where would it not Pitcairn?
Vanatawa,
I don't know.
Vanatawa, something like that.
Oh, Vanuatu.
There we go. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't know how to say it.
Vanuatu's. Yeah, there's a lot of, and it's yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
would
he
be
was like,
amazing.
you know, he said it was nice because they really liked the Americans. You know, they were very friendly when they put in port there. And he was talking about, you know, what a nice little place it was. Everybody was real friendly.
Yeah.
Because
And a lot
there
of
were other places they pulled into where they weren't treated very nicely.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, all across the South Pacific, New Zealand's kind of like the caregiver to the South Pacific. I don't know what you would call that,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? We help
Hi,
out
Viviani.
so many countries because they're just little atolls in the middle of nowhere, and it's really hard. You know, how do you grow food for yourselves? Everything's imported in, right? I mean, the biggest Polynesian capital in the world is here in New Zealand.
When I got to Hawaii, I was like, oh, I could so live here because it was so beautiful. And then it was like, you go to the store to pick up something as cheap as a pack of hamburger meat or something.
Oh, yeah, milk.
The cost is like just pure sticker shock. I mean, it's like, holy crap. And, you know, I mean, we'd go somewhere and I'd look at my son. I'd be like, why does it cost so much money? He says, everything has to be shipped in.
Yep.
He says, they don't just truck it over. It's either got to come by boat or by plane. And I went, oh, wow. I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what's weird here, though, that is very different than the States is when you go and look to buy eggs, they are not refrigerated. They're just out on the shelves. I know.
Well, if you go to a farmer's market or something, like if you go to a farmer's market in town, eggs
Have
and
the
stuff
eggs
like
out.
that. It's not in a
Yeah.
refrigerator. It's sitting out, because that's their
Yeah.
natural,
Yeah, but it works out.
their
And the
natural
other thing,
habitat. But
well, the other thing is people don't necessarily put bread in the refrigerator because it instantly goes moldy. I'm like, what? And then the other one that was really weird, except for summertime, is butter. They'll put butter in a butter dish out on the countertop, or they call it the bench, right? The bench. And that's all year round. That's fine. It doesn't go rancid or anything. It's just room
yeah,
temperature and
but
it's soft.
margarine
Really
will,
weird.
but butter doesn't. Yeah, real butter, you
Yeah.
can freeze it, you can set it
Yeah.
out. It doesn't,
It's crazy.
it stays
Yeah.
good. Margarine, on the
Mm.
other hand, yeah, that will turn bad on you. But when I found out that there was only one chromosome difference between plastic and margarine, I was like, okay, I'm not eating any more margarine. I only use real butter
Yeah.
now. And it's funny because when I started using real butter, everything tasted so much better. And I
Yeah,
only
it's
used a
beautiful.
fraction of the amount
Yeah.
of what I
I
used when I
yeah.
used to cook with margarine. I would use 3
Yeah.
times as much. And
Yeah.
with butter, it's just a little tab. And I'm good.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Um,
And the butter is really renowned from all the dairy here is world renowned. And I have to say the yogurts, oh my gosh, they're so good. I mean, and they'll try all these really interesting flavor combinations. Like they do a really delicious rhubarb one, a rhubarb yogurt, and it's just like,
I'm not
oh my.
crazy about yogurt, but yeah,
Well, but
I'm
for those people who love it, for me it was like blueberry yogurt when I lived back home, and that was about it. That was the height of living.
yeah.
But you get
I
passion fruit,
mean,
everything
frozen
kind of
yogurt. I
tropically.
remember when I
Yeah,
was in high school in the 70s was the first time I heard of frozen yogurt, and we had a
yeah. Mm.
Frogurt store that opened up. I was living in
Oh
Texas at
yes,
the time.
yeah,
I lived in
yeah,
southeast Texas.
yeah,
And of course, all my friends were like, "Oh, this is fantastic! It's like eating ice cream
yeah,
without the
yeah,
calories."
yeah,
And I finally went with them one day and said, "All right, I will try it," because they all knew I couldn't stand yogurt.
right,
They're like, "Trust me, try it. You're gonna love it."
yeah,
I love frozen yogurt. I could eat that stuff all day long.
yep,
Um, Although about once a month, I'll make a special trip to Dairy Queen just to get an ice cream cone because they use real
oh,
ice
that's good,
cream.
yeah, yeah.
They don't
Oh, and
use
the
the
ice
frozen
creams
yogurt
too.
stuff.
These people are
Yeah.
super obsessed with their ice cream, like especially all year round, but summer, and you can get really cool. Like I like what was it? It was like a
Hi, book.
grapefruit and lime flavored one, so a real zingy one. You can get all these crazy combinations here. Like they have this thing called Hokey Pokey, which is like a vanilla ice cream with like
That's a
little
song that I
caramelly
know.
caramel in it. Oh my god, so good! It's a bit crunchy. It's delicious.
We
So
have one of the
yeah.
last remaining Borden ice cream shops here in town where I'm at. From like the real Borden's Ice Cream and Milk Company, because we have a Borden's Milk Company in town. And
Okay,
they have a
wow.
little soda shop. They have a little ice cream soda shop
Oh,
right
wow,
by
that would be neat.
campus. It's
Yeah,
been there for over 100 years,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's still there. And I know people that will drive hours to come to Lafayette
Wow,
just to go to the
to the
soda shop
Borden.
to go
Wow,
get Borden's ice cream.
that's
And it's
yum.
expensive, but boy, is it
Mhm.
good. I mean, it's
Oh,
really good.
I bet. Yeah, some of the ice creams
Um,
here, they have like bougie ice
Even if
creams
all you
here
get
now
is
too.
just the
Yeah,
plain old normal vanilla ice cream, it
yeah.
tastes better than any other vanilla ice cream you've ever had in your life.
Mm,
And it's nice. It's only a few blocks from campus. I
yeah.
don't ever go over there because it's expensive and I really
Well,
don't need to be eating it. But
same.
every
I
now
don't
and
need to eat all
again,
these ice creams either.
I live in
That's
Louisiana.
okay.
I'm 100 pounds overweight. Why? Because of the food. I like to eat, and I eat things that are bad for me, and that's
I like
just it.
food too, and my husband cooks. He does a really nice barbecue too, and I'm just like,
And
oh. But
when my
the
doctor
fish is beautiful.
would start,
Deep fish,
when I
yeah.
first moved
Mm.
back, and my doctor would fuss at me for, your cholesterol's a little high and it's a little high.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
need to incorporate more green vegetables. And I said, no. He said, what do you mean no? I said, I don't eat green food. And he laughed and he said, no, really. He says, you can try this and this. And he runs through this litany of vegetables that I can eat. And I just looked at him. I said, I don't eat green food. He says, you're serious. I said, I'm deadly serious. I don't eat vegetables.
Wow.
I don't
Okay.
touch vegetables.
Okay.
I
Fair
had to
enough.
eat that shit when I was a kid, and I'm not eating it now. I said, if you
Fair
want to
enough.
correct my cholesterol, give me a pill.
Okay. It's your call.
So
Fair enough.
he's
Yeah,
like,
I like that.
okay. So first
We
couple
all
of
have
years,
our
he
things.
tried to get me to change my diet. And I'd just look at him and go, no. He'd say, I know, give you a pill. And I said, yeah, just give me a pill.
Look
I'll
what
take the
Amanda
pill, but I'm not
says.
eating that stuff.
Read what Amanda said, Sherry. She says, ice cream is locked up at my Safeway. Have to ring a buzzer. Theft, I guess, makes you really commit to your ice cream decision. No browsing there and not grabbing 20 different ones to try, right? Because that's what I do. I mean, oh, I'll try that. I'll try that. I'll have a bite of that. I'll make the
Oh, I can
kids and my
remember when
husband eat
you
them.
used to
Yeah.
be able to go and they would have like people with ice cream, whatever ice cream was being done that week, and you could get the little bitty cups, little bitty paper cups, like the little ketchup cups. They used to put ketchup in when you went to the hamburger
Yeah,
stand.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'm probably dating myself here. It would be like one bite of ice cream, but it was so damn good. You
Yeah, I
walk
know.
around the store and just milk that one spoonful of ice cream
I
just for
know.
all you
Just
get.
kind of like, and when
Just a
it's
little
still
taste
freaking
here and a
hot.
little
Yeah,
taste there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
alrighty, so Anne is writing a book with a working title of Soul Pivot, Thriving in Every Space from Shadow to Grace. I love the name of that. I
Oh,
really
thank you.
love the name of that.
Thank you.
Um, and I've got her outline here that she graciously sent me. So I'm going to read y'all the outline. And if you have a
Uh,
question about any
please,
one of those categories, we
please
can hit
ask.
her up for it.
Yes.
Why this book?
Well,
Understanding space in the spiritual, quantum mechanics in your space. The most I know about quantum mechanics is from the Avengers. The shadow shelf and spaces of fear, personal spaces and life stories, your emotional and physical spaces, environmental nature spaces, your grace spaces, communities and global spaces, thriving in all of your spaces, including a tumultuous world. I love that tag. Um, and moving forward in your spaces. So that's
mm,
kind of the gist of what her book's going to be talking about, which
mm.
I can't wait for it to come out so I can read it. And
And why I use the word space, everybody, because I have my channel, and this is my perpetual quest. Okay, it's never going to end, but it's like the academic, the spiritual, and the space in between. What is that? Because I think the line between the two is getting thinner and thinner, and I take the stance that space isn't just air. Okay, and it's not just stuff with stars in it and stardust. Okay, there's the quantum or the field, your intuition, your gut sense, the vibe, the vibration. And that's where the quantum mechanics is the beginnings of the explanations of that world. And so there is a connection between the two and many. So yeah.
okay,
Anyway,
cool.
any questions for me or
I was
I'm
trying
looking?
to do something here and I can't get it to work. So
There's
okay.
a Popeyes. Cool.
Yeah, well, we'll worry about it.
I
I'll
think we're
figure it
still
out maybe
thinking about.
before tonight and do it. I'm supposed to be able to give away like I
Oh,
can gift like 10 memberships a month
oh,
that
cool.
YouTube will pay for
Oh,
somebody
wow.
to have like a 1 month subscription.
Yeah.
And then
Neat.
if they like it, they keep it and pay for it themselves. And if they don't, then they just let it expire.
Yeah.
But they
Oh, neat. I've
they
seen that.
give us they give us 10 a month that we can give away. And so there's only a few days left for the month. So I thought, well, maybe I could do like 5 now and 5 tonight. I'll just do them all tonight because I don't know. I can't make it work. I got to go figure out what I'm doing wrong. Evidently, there's something I should be doing there, and I don't know what it is. So, let's see. Book asked a most important question. We have a Popeyes there.
Ooh, I love Amanda's question.
Gets to the heart of the matter right from the get-go. Do you have a Popeyes?
You know, and I have to say, just a little side note, I was overseas back home in the States. My mom was unwell, and I went to this restaurant, and my girlfriend and I, it wasn't the main course we were obsessed on the rice and beans. We were just like, oh my God, how do we get this? You know, how do we make this? We were trying to figure it out, and we just couldn't stop eating it.
Oh, I will never forget when I lived in Phoenix, when they opened a Popeyes there. I was in seventh heaven.
I bet you were.
I went to the store and said, oh my God, you got a Popeyes finally. And they were like,
yeah.
Oh, you've eaten at Popeyes before? I said, I'm from Louisiana. And they went, oh, well, we understand then. And I said, I want your just some spicy tenders. And I got them, and I was like, y'all didn't have the spices? And they're like, that is the spicy. And I said, no, baby, this is what would be regular back home. This is not spicy.
Okay, so I do want to
triple up on the spices here if you want.
Yeah, spice is good. I love spice, but yeah, not if I have to freeze my toilet paper later.
Yeah, and I just realized that actually Book was asking Maureen that question, so I don't know where Maureen lives, but it works. So
yeah. Amanda's got a really good question. I don't want to let it go. It's a great question, Amanda. Thank you. The question is quantum responsible for managing our time? Well, it's outside of time. My understanding of it. Okay, so the quantum exists all around us, but because it's what enables us to remote view, or people who do this enables remote viewing. It enables anything that's woo-woo, you know, my connection with somebody, or channeling, or a psychic. All that is through the quantum field. Some people have a gift for it. Some people develop it. We all have the gift, but quantum field is outside of Newtonian physics. Okay, Newtonian's like, oh, I'm going to drop this pin and it lands. That's gravity, right? Oh, I'm going to hit this tree. Well, you know, you'll hurt your hand if you hit the tree, and we don't like doing that anyway. But you know what I mean? So the quantum steps outside that Newtonian physics and changes how we engage with it, right? So that's why I think so many people. So does that make sense, Amanda? I'm just trying not to go too deep in the whole thing. Makes sense to me. But that's like, so, you know, if you think about like your mother or your father, my father's passed over 11 years now. And if I think of him, I know he'll come into my space, but that's through the quantum science and the quantum mechanics and all that are the scientific explanations. The theoretical physics are just beginning to start the explanations for this phenomena. I haven't seen any research. It's all theoretical, a lot of it, but you've got quantum
Maureen
mechanics.
had 5 teeth pulled on Tuesday.
What? Oh my God. Sorry. Are you going to be okay?
I've been there.
I know. Let's send her healing.
And I didn't mean to interrupt your explanation, because that was really good. Debbie said, so it's like the teachings of Seth.
I don't know much about the teachings of Seth.
I don't know much about Seth. So
I've heard of that. Let me look it up.
And it says that Nietzsche thought gravity was a demon. Is that how you say that? Nietzsche.
Nietzsche.
Yeah. Okay.
He's very famous philosopher. So a lot of the philosophers are thinking about it. Quantum theory, quantum mechanics, quantum anything means stuff outside of our 3D kind of physics.
Yeah, well, like I said, my understanding of quantum anything comes from the Avengers movies and how Tony Stark describes it, you know, and I'm like, okay, that I kind of understand that. That, and I love to watch Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is, you know, an astrophysicist. It's the first time in my life that I've ever listened to a scientist discuss that level of science. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is blowing my mind, because he just has a way of putting it.
Yeah, he does. He has a really, and that's really hard for people to do sometimes.
Yeah,
and he's obviously
exactly.
a physicist. So he's in it, thinking about it, talking about it. He has to teach it. So he's really operating on high levels of trying to bring that understanding down, for everybody else to get. The other thing too is we are 3D beings. This is a 3D reality, right? So this stuff is starting to explain other ways of sensing different realities, right? We don't have the skill. I can't just look at somebody and say, oh, I can see your angels behind you or something like that. Most people can't do that, right? Unless they work on the gift.
But it's cool when you run into somebody who can.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've had that happen to me.
And we don't need the science to understand it, because that person's doing it and experiencing it. And that's the problem for me is, with the academic side of me, it's like, I got to understand this. How does this work? Because I want to know why I'm able to do that over here. But then I've just kind of had a whole lifetime of crazy experiences, and there's heaps of them that have nothing to do with science. And I know it's real because I saw it, I felt it, I heard it. It really resonated with me. And I know in my heart it's real. But my scientific community would say, nope, no, you aren't doing this way.
That like believing in a ghost or believing in a spirit. And I've had people, tell me ghosts aren't real. And I'm like, look, when you've seen one and experienced one firsthand, there's no other logical explanation for what you've experienced. Then you believe, and no one will change your mind back, because you know what you know, and you can't change that. And so I always kind of looked at quantum stuff when I first started hearing about it. I think was kind of when the Secret came out, and books from Alexander Hicks and whatnot. And when I first started reading those, and I was like, quantum, and there was like these quantum physicists who would be on stage talking with these, psychic gurus about stuff happening. And I was, at first, my brain couldn't connect the two. It was like, how can a quantum physicist and a psychic person be on the same page? But then when I started to get an understanding of what they were talking about, it was like, oh, it's like anything. It's magic until we figure out how we can test it and prove it. And then it becomes science.
Magic is unexplained science. And the unexplainable things that are not observable and measurable in traditional academic modes of research, because it's got to be observable and measurable, and then all this other stuff. That works great for the 3D world. Rose, I agree. I think it can block your third eye, but I think part of your spiritual journey is also releasing the pain, learning how to be okay with the spiritual. You got to heal the trauma. Well, however you're going to do it, counseling or meditation, or a combination of everything. You're really good friends, whatever. But I do think it can. I think once we get in our minds too much, when you get that mental chatter, then you aren't going to hear things. So somebody taught me a really great trick on somewhere. I think it was even Allie's channel. I don't know where I saw it, but here's a real quick way, and I challenge everybody watching right now to just focus on the back of the inside of your skull, of your brain. Just focus on that.
And
I'm thinking about it. Did all the words go out of your head? Did all that, as soon as you, I'm like, that's a really weird place to think about. But when you think about it, what it does, it gets rid of the chatter. I'm like, that's such a crazy, cool way.
That is really helpful for people who have trouble meditating.
Yes.
like me, because I can't get
Bingo.
my brain to shut up,
Yep.
you know.
So
Now I have a way to actually
yeah.
consciously say, shut up now and listen.
Yeah.
And it would work.
Yep.
Hi, Kiba.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, now
Yeah.
I mean, I know I dream, but I don't remember my dreams. Very rarely, once in a blue moon, snippets of a dream will stay with me when I wake up. But I don't remember dreams like some people do. But it's like when I was 4, I talked to God. That was the voice I heard. That's who I assumed it was.
Yeah.
That's what I called him. It was just one of my guides talking to me. When I was 12, I discovered I could float outside of my body. And I thought, oh, this is cool. And I would like hang out on the ceiling and look at myself in the bed. I would never leave the room because I was terrified I'd get lost. And then what would they do with my body if they found me before I came back? That was my irrational fear at 12.
Well, of course, it's scary.
It was, but it was
You're
just
taking
kind of cool to hang out,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
Sure. And for many years, I shut a lot of it down. I just pretended like I didn't see, hear, smell, taste any of it, you know. And then when I opened the door back up, it was very overwhelming in the beginning. It was like everything hit me at once.
Everybody, it was like a pipeline for everything spiritual to come your way, like
it was
a
like, yay, she opened the door, let's party. And
exactly. Hey, hugger greeter. Yeah, no, I get it. And that's the hardest thing. But with COVID, I started meditating because I was so freaking scared I was going to die. You know,
weren't we all?
A lot of fear going on. Yeah, and boy, as soon as I started doing that, within a few weeks, people started coming in or passed over. You know, non-human passed over people would come over. I was just like, okay, I'm officially gone nuts. I am completely mad and I've gone nuts. And for a long time, I was in the closet about it all until I sought out people to talk to make sure I wasn't going nuts and that I'm actually sane. So I actually, honestly, legitimately, and I knew better to talk to anybody official about it, like my doctor or my coworkers, anybody like that, because I didn't want to go down that route, right? And so I found people to talk to, and I realized I'm not
get put into a rubber room strapped in a straitjacket.
Yeah, that's and it was a legitimate, true fear, and I thought surely there's somebody else out in the universe who's experienced this stuff before too,
well,
right? So yeah,
that was just like with me and you know, my mother passed. Then 6 months later, COVID hit, and you know, we were all locked up in our house, and as I've shared before, I was not in a good place in my head. I was just I was severely depressed, and
you were mourning it.
I could hear them trying to talk to me, and I had kind of cracked the door open years ago. But it was like when some little something would happen, I'd shut the door back. Like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And I could literally feel them pushing the door open to try to talk to me. And I was, like you said, I felt like I was kind of losing my mind. I didn't know what was going on. And I just kind of stumbled into this community.
Well, and that's me too.
All of a sudden,
goodness for you
everything started clicking into place. And it was like,
boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Yeah. The book club was a big one for me. Yeah.
And then when I finally decided to start chatting and talking to people, because I watched for a long time. And never chatted. And I had people responding saying, well, it took you long enough to say something. And I'm like, how did you know I was here? They'd be like, for a psychic, remember? We knew you were there.
Dang it. No anonymity there.
Hi, Deborah.
Can't hide from us.
So, yeah, I mean,
hey, Deborah.
You know, people started telling me, you know, you're psychic, right? You know, you're supposed to be reading cards, right? And I was like, I was getting blown away by it because it was like, no, I yes, I knew, but no, I didn't know, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I was
It's
lucky that
fear.
there were several people that were willing, and Allie was one of them,
Mm.
that were willing to kind of take me on and kind of show me the ropes. And
Oh, it's
I mean, because at that
fantastic.
stage when I first met Allie, she
Yeah.
was not admitting that she was psychic at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was like,
She
no,
was
no, I'm
afraid to
just
read
here to
cards for
facilitate.
people. She was
Yeah, I'm
afraid to
just
read
here to
cards when I first met
facilitate,
her. I
and
know. It's
and I'm
incredible.
just here to interview and
Yeah.
introduce you to people.
Yeah.
And it didn't take long before there was several people were like,
Oh,
uh, Allie, you do realize that you're psychic too, right? And I tell you, when I knew for sure was she and Susan Lynn used to do a show together once a week.
oh yes. I remember the days.
And it was on a Sunday, I think they used to do this show, and it was one week, and I finally got the nerve up to ask a question.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, like I said, I had not really talked that much. Nobody
Yeah.
knew anything about my past.
Yeah.
And I asked about, was there any messages from my mother who had passed within the last year?
Oh wow.
And before Susan could draw breath, Allie was like doing something, and she just looks up into the camera and she says to tell you she remembers everything now. And I was in tears because my
Oh.
mother died from dementia and
Oh.
had lost everything before she died. She didn't know who we were anymore. But
Oh.
that had just hit Allie that quick. She said to tell you she remembers everything.
Wow.
And I was like, holy crap, how would you know that? I mean, just.
Well,
And
that's what's
I
so cool about the soul. The
since
soul.
then,
Yeah.
and it was live. I mean, other people saw it happen.
Yeah. That's
Susan was
incredible.
like, Susan was like, I told you were psychic. That was Susan's response to Allie.
Oh, really?
And she was
That's
like, I told
so
you were
cool.
psychic.
That's
And
so
and
cool.
Allie was like, I don't, but what did I say? She didn't even remember it. It just came out. And so, hi, teacher Barbara. Hi, Deborah. And it just really, it struck me. And I knew in that moment that
Yeah.
Allie had the gift. She just didn't accept it yet. And it wasn't too much longer after that she's
Mm.
finally started reading cards and
Well, this is interesting
delving
too.
into it. And
I'd say a lot of teachers out there, not all of them, but a lot of them are super empathic, especially the ones that work with little ones and know their feelings, and you deal with the
yeah,
psychological. I think that there are a lot more people out there teaching wise that are definitely
absolutely.
definitely
Because
psychic, channelers, empathic, all the whole
you've
gamut.
you've
Yeah.
you've got to be able to reach those kids, and I don't care what
Oh,
age group they're
yes.
in a
Yes.
way that most people
Mhm.
wouldn't know how to do. My brother's a teacher, and he's a really good teacher.
Oh, cool.
His kids love him,
That's really
wherever
cool.
he's taught
Yeah.
at. His kids love him because he just has this way of reaching
Yeah.
them.
It's a
Um,
gift and a talent, and the gift is that
yeah,
whole, I mean, there's the talent you got to learn, that you got to go to school for, you got your theories and all
right,
that
right,
good
right.
stuff, and
Yeah,
how to manage a classroom, but then that gift to be able to really connect and engage what's happening with them, and engaging, you have to have some kind of, like, there's a spark. I don't know how to describe it, but that's the quantum in that. That's
right,
that
exactly. You know what?
etheric spark that's quite
And
amazing.
that's why when I first met you and you would talk about quantum stuff, and I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, wait a minute. Most people don't talk about this, and something that kind of drew me in
Well,
the beginning because
yeah.
I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson, and
Yeah.
um, I first found him on internet radio
Yeah.
back in the early
That's cool.
2000s, and I would listen to his weekly show that
Hmm.
he did from the museum. It was like a
Yeah,
breakfast
it's
thing
so
he did.
cool.
And I
Yeah.
was like, this is so cool because I'm actually understanding what he's talking about even though he was talking about things that were way over my head, and but I got it. And it just it truly amazes me how much we all already know and don't realize we know.
That's the thing, and that's what even some
And
experienced
how psychic we all really are and don't realize we are.
Yes, we are
My
so
son is a
connected.
huge empath.
Oh, that's
Huge.
cool.
His ability to want to just fix people. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
it's like he can go in a room and he can pick out the ones hurting the most instantly. But you know, he's going to tell you, no, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in any of that. And it's like, okay, you know, I just accept it. But deep down inside, I think he knows, you know. But
yeah. Hey, Barbara said a good, she goes, she wants to learn more about quantum mechanics, but doesn't know where to start. Okay, so this is how I came across it in my research when I was working on my doctorate. There's a theory, there's a few theories called entanglement theory. One's from an archaeological area that's used in a lot of educational research. And I don't want to bore everybody, but that's when I ended up using for part of my research. But then that also took me to the phenomenal amount of literature on entanglement theory, which is one little subset of the whole field of quantum mechanics, physics, whatever you want to talk about, right? So don't feel like you can learn this all in a day, people. I mean, these are really brainiac, theoretical mathematicians, physicists, you know. I mean, if they put the formula on a board, I'd be like, pew, you know, I just get lost and turn white, so whiter than I already am because it's
Barbara wants to know what your doctorate in.
Anyway, what's that? It's in education. So I have a doctorate in education, and my thesis was taking 2 schools of thought, which is one's called dialogic education, so the space in between, and there's a lot of research on it, and then entanglement theory. So I was using kind of a framework to look at an educational setting and look at the shared conversations and the shared knowledge and questions that students had, and then with what they're doing. So it's a social materialist. So, and I came up with a phenomenon and explained it theoretically and all that stuff called dialogic activity. So not only it's about learning conversations and learning dialogues and the things that they're doing and using, but also enrolled in the activity that they're conducting. Because as we all know as teachers, you can design a course, you can have the perfect setting, but things can go awry because students have agency, right? They have ways about going about doing things. Sometimes you didn't plan for that, right? So I looked at those kind of learning vignettes, and so that's what I did. So sorry if I got too deep for everybody, but you know.
No. Amanda was
my poor family
asking,
heard it for years.
is yeah, it's, you know, it's like I don't dare ask a math question in the hearing of my brother because he can go off.
Yeah,
because that's what his
he
graduated. He got his degree in mathematics, you know, and education. And it's like he'll start and I just, my eyes glaze over. It's like I can't add without a calculator. Don't even ask me to try. It's just too funny. Amanda wants to know, is the quantum responsible for managing our time as we know it? And again, I'm going to harken back to the Avengers because their final big movie was all about going into the quantum field to try and travel to fix what went wrong, and you know, and so the extent of my knowledge of quantum physics is from the Avengers.
So time, remember there's multiple timelines in the quantum universe, right? There are multiple timelines for our 3D.
The Avengers covered that. There's all these different timelines.
Yeah. So you've got multiple timelines happening. And the way, okay, so this is information I got from a military insider, or what do they call them? You know, the ones that are dang it, somebody help me out with the word for not a watchdog, but somebody calls bluff on somebody. What are they called? Oh, help me out. Whistleblower. Thank you. Finally in my brain. Okay, whistleblower.
Yeah.
So he was a whistleblower.
I can hear a whistle and I couldn't get the word out.
That was a quantum working. We got it together. See, and we're in a digital space. So it challenges even our geographic notion of time and space.
When I'm reading with other people and
thank you.
We'll be pulling the same cards or the same messaging cards.
One's
one side of the world and one's on the other. It's like,
so have you all looked at the top of a Christmas tree? You know, the big top and the beautiful boughs and the branches, and they get wider and wider, right? So if you can imagine a river of time, right? Because time and linear go together, because that's how we work as humans, right? So if you can imagine a river of those boughs out and time streaming by, the very tip top is you in that moment of time and space, and all those other branches that are sticking out in this river that's flowing past you are the different choices you could have made. And then it takes you on to your next decision. This is how it was explained to me, and I'm like, that's a beautiful metaphor. But yeah, can you imagine? I can just see this one little bright dot looking down
like
at
when
the
I
pine
first started
tree.
reading Abraham Hicks stuff, and they would talk about, you could go in your mind and you could go into a different timeline, where in this other timeline, maybe you're a famous actress or a world-renowned author or, a famous doctor or something, whereas back here, you're nobody. And how you can step into that timeline and figure out what you need to know to come back to your timeline and change it.
Well,
and
according to this,
become that.
According to this person, he said he spoke to somebody. He was really high up in the European echelons of whistleblower, military things, and apparently that humans have the ability, and I don't know if it's true. It's stranger than science fiction, people, but apparently there's a way to go in and jump in and out of timelines and alter things. So, all right. It's just crazy to me, but cool at the same time. And to think, if I had not made that choice then, where would I be now? You know what I mean? You can't do that. You go nuts thinking about it. But,
Yeah.
But far out, man.
That's crazy. Is that how quantum healing works? Basically,
I think so.
Exactly what you were talking about. And to go back to what
frequencies. It's all frequencies.
Seth, before I forget, Book had asked,
how
is Seth different than manifesting?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have to go research Seth a little bit more, but that's a really good question. Manifesting and thinking. Oh, thank you for asking that question, Book Bewitched, because where is it? Darn it, I don't know where I put it, but on my Kindle, there's a book written in the 1920s by this yogi person that put all these affirmations on how to manifest for health and wellness. I mean, this book was written it's a yogi. So this guy was meditating and like really connected to the ether or whatever, the quantum or whatever you want to call it, the space in between, right? And he actually has he has a recommendation of what to say every day before bedtime and first thing when you get up in the morning to help you manifest things for yourself, for the higher good for yourself. It's really, really interesting. I'm going to find it. I'll have to post it on your channel. But I don't know where I put my book.
I figured out how to do the gifted memberships, y'all.
Oh, did you? Cool. Okay, cool.
Some of y'all just got gifted a membership. So
all right.
Yay. I don't know who. I don't know who because YouTube picks it.
Okay, congratulations, winners. That's great.
So and I'll do 5 more tonight. I'll do the other 5 tonight when I do the slumber party. So cool.
Yeah. So the quantum is, I think we are living in the most exciting time. Here you go, time, right? Moment. I don't even know. I mean, think about these things. What we know, everything we do is governed by night and day, right? By the planetary system we're on and how we are as 3D entities, right? time and, location. So you have to fly to get to somewhere instead of jumping through, like you do on the Avengers, wormholes to get to the other side of the galaxy in 2 seconds, right? I think that, maybe not in our generations, but in future generations, there's definitely a possibility for that stuff happening, especially if disclosure happens in our lifetimes, which apparently it's supposed to. So, man, I'll be one of the first people to go meet and greet those people. I'll have them over for a barbecue at my house. So, what have you been doing the last few millennia? And, how do you know about Earth?
Exactly.
Can you imagine having a barbecue with somebody like that?
But you stop and think about it. Authors that have written books that would be like, how did your mind even go there?
Yeah.
To figure that out,
Channeled. It's channeled. It's communicated through to people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or through their own selves. That, it's just like when Biden stepped out and said, I'm stepping out of the race. I'm dropping out. I'm not, everybody was just, the bottom fell out for most people. Kamala's going to take my place. And the next day, I think after everybody had kind of that 24-hour period to absorb what was happening, most of us were started feeling like we've just jumped timelines.
Yeah,
we've jumped the timeline. And
yeah, for sure. I agree with that. And apparently it accelerated it. I watched Sterling. I don't know if you guys watch Sterling Psychic Medium. He has a show he puts out every week. Some of you might even be members, but he said that we jumped ahead. His guides have told him that we definitely jumped timelines from that one. So, gosh, you just don't know. And that's the thing, if you follow this thinking through with the whole soul contract thing, you still have agency. It's your choices that you have certain key points that you're supposed to meet, apparently, based on the Akashic stuff or whatever. But you still have agency, your soul has agency. You still make choices. You still, yeah. Oh, you are
absolutely.
So it's really interesting. I'm excited. I just hope some people argue we're actually doing soft disclosure now in terms of that. And soft disclosure is, with some of these whistleblowers, like, who can argue with a freaking Senate committee hearings?
Thank you. Who
can argue with that? How can you, why would the U.S. government even allow that to happen?
Yeah.
Imagine all the background machinations or machinery that enabled that to even happen, or the pushback they must have had to even get to that point. It's just
exactly.
Insane.
I stop and think sometimes of our founding fathers. Those who wrote the Declaration of Independence and those who wrote the Constitution. And it's like, how did your brain conceive of such higher noble thoughts and ideas, but yet at the same time structuring it in a way so that it can grow and change as the nation grows and changes. And it's like, that's truly mind-boggling to me. It's like, I'm not a stupid person, but I'm nowhere near at that level of intelligence, so it's like,
well, no, but we all have gifts, Miss Sherry.
Right.
We all have gifts.
And I'm the first one to admit, that's very true. We all we all have.
It's not we don't have to be on this stage. It's just even having these conversations and not making them being open about it and talking about it is just, imagine trying to do this 20 years ago. No way. But anyway,
technically when I first started hearing about a lot of this stuff was about 20 years ago. So in the early 2000s, and it was like, listening to these people talk about this stuff, and it just blew my mind. So
Yeah, and I think academics quietly, like the science ones, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and those guys, they're such public figures, and the science community is still trying to silence those kind of voices, because there's just not observable, measurable data that it'll take a while other than.
It's just like what we
Yeah.
do as psychics. It's
Yeah.
like it still can't truly be tested.
Yeah.
So how can you prove that what we say happens?
Yeah.
All you can do is go by firsthand experience and just know that eventually we'll figure out how to test it.
Yeah.
And it'll just be an equation. Just put it in,
Yeah.
Plug it into the computer and it'll all pop out. So that's what I think anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an hour and I know you've got to be somewhere else. So we're going to wrap this up, but we're definitely going to get Anne back once she starts working on her book a little more to talk more about the quantum physics and all of this, because I find it fascinating. And I'm not smart enough to try to explain it. I'm smart enough to ask questions, but not to answer them.
Well, I'm learning myself, and I guess the thing I want to draw out for everybody here is there is something there. You aren't weird or strange, and the scientific explanations are coming. It's in a real theoretical state in the scientific community. I mean, there are lots of theories. I mean, a lot more than it'd be like watching paint dry listening to them. But pretty boring.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, look, we aren't nuts. It's coming. It's slowly coming.
Yeah.
That it's part of our ability to connect with this ether, right?
And electricity and the knowledge of energy and how it travels and changes things.
Frequencies.
That used to be considered, what do they call that? Alchemy. A form of witchcraft, because
alchemy and alchemize.
They didn't understand how it worked.
Transmutation, right? All those things.
Exactly.
And
so
it's so cool. I'm so excited. Learn more.
It is exciting.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you came on and shared that with us, because a lot of people seem really into it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'll definitely get back with Anne and we'll set up something a little down the road and
for sure.
And talk about it some more, because it's a fascinating topic.
So it's all about your space and what works for you, right? You pick and choose from the book what resonates with you and go for it. That's because this is stuff that I'm not any like end all be all knowledge entity. You can, but if this helps you, great. Because my thing is about service to everybody. So thank you. That's so sweet. Thank you, Book Bewitched.
Thank you, Book. That's really sweet of you.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
I find it so fascinating that it makes me tongue-tied sometimes, because it's like,
me too. Well, how do we find the words to describe that when we're 3D people, in a
3D world,
and
dealing with most
2D
minds, so I think that's part of this shift that's coming. Part of this this moving up is this understanding on a higher level that we're just not there yet, but we're getting there. It just takes a little bit of time.
And it's totally okay. Remember, you're on your own journey. We're all on our own journeys, and I'm just excited to be here and be a guest on your show and talk about these really cool topics that are really kind of a heart project for me more than a brain project. This is real stuff that I love, learning about and dabbling in. So, and fabulous conversationalists in the chat too, by the way. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Y'all asked some really good questions, because I was it's been such an off week for me. It's like I haven't been able to focus on anything. So I felt kind of bad because it was like I'm coming into this kind of cold. I'm not even prepared like
Don't
I wanted
even.
to be. But
Don't. These questions are great because then I can think about them too when I'm finishing writing up everything. So
yeah,
yeah.
because now you've got an idea of where people might be asking
Yeah.
questions to kind of
Or I might just go lightly
give
on it
the
for this
answers
book.
before
Yeah.
the questions are asked, once
Yeah,
once
which is
it's
great.
published.
So thank you,
Um,
everyone. Really appreciate it.
so, well, thank y'all all so very much for
Thank
coming and
you.
spending an hour with us.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dr. Ann, of
Thank
course,
you,
for
Miss
coming
Sherry.
and spending an hour with me and with
And
everyone
thank
in
you so
chat.
much. Yeah.
Congrats to all the members that got gifted or just joined on their own. I greatly appreciate it, more than you can know. I got more things coming down the pipeline. I move a little slower than other people.
That's all right.
So yeah.
Oh, Miss Sherry.
Oh my goodness.
Everybody send her some love right now.
Yeah, let's get all this
healing.
chest congestion out. So y'all have a good night. I'm going to go eat and take a little nap, and I will be back at 11 p.m. Central for the slumber party. And it's just me, myself, and I. We're going to just hang out together tonight, y'all. Nothing major. Just hang out for a little bit because tomorrow night's the Halloween party. So I'm kind of conserving all of my energy for that. So and I'll be back for that as well. So y'all have a great night. And
awesome.
Go Kamala. We're gonna win.